Chapter 12. The Helionaut Flies. The council approved the ascent the following morning. Marcus delivered the news to the hangar without showing his face about it. He had been waiting 6 months for this outcome and was not yet willing to trust that he had it. The next light window suitable for flight was tomorrow. Cloud density projections, based on Marcus's own measurement protocols, indicated favorable conditions for a 90-minute above-cloud observation. The crew would be Marcus, Lena Park, the veteran pilot, and one observer. The observer position is traditionally reserved for council-approved scientists or diplomats, Marcus said. He stood beside Helionaut 2 with one hand on the platform rail. A posture Rowan had come to recognize as habitual. Traditionally. But the council also recognizes that the person who repaired the platform has a legitimate claim to the first flight. Rowan looked at him. "You are offering me a seat on the ascent. I am informing you that the council has approved your inclusion, should you choose to accept." Marcus gestured to the platform's deck, where 3 sets of tether attachment points were bolted to the aluminum frame, each with a harness clipped to the rail beside it. The harnesses were worn leather and nylon webbing, patched and restitched, the buckles bright from use. "I came here for antibiotics," Rowan said. "Yes." Marcus did not argue or push. He stood beside the machine he had spent 30 years maintaining and let the offer sit in the space between them. The chorus you heard in the valley. The shapes in the observation logs. The particulate readings that shift in patterns we cannot fully explain. Everything I know about what is happening above us comes from 90 minutes at a time. Once every few weeks, through instruments I built from salvage. He looked up at the sky through the open hangar. One flight changed how I understood the world. I am not asking you to stay. I'm asking if you want to see. Rowan did not answer. He left the hangar and went downstairs. Okoye was waiting for him in her clinic. He had not sent word that he was coming. "Sit down," Okoye said. She was writing in her ledger, the pen's scratch the only sound in the room. She finished her notation and looked up. "You have the antibiotics." "I do," Rowan said. He touched his coat, where the blister packs rested against his chest. "Good. I want to review the dosage with you before you leave." She folded her hands on the desk. "Moxicillin, 500 milligrams, 3 times daily, for 10 days. A full course. Do not reduce the dose if her symptoms improve. Do not stop when your mother feels better. Stopping early allows the surviving bacteria to develop resistance. And resistance is the one thing we cannot afford to breed in a world with no pharmaceutical manufacturing." "I understand," Rowan said. "I know you do. I am saying it because it matters enough to say twice." She paused. Her clinical register held, but she dropped her eyes briefly before she went on. The same brief reset Marcus made when he was about to talk about the sky. "Marcus tells me the council has offered you the observer seat." "He mentioned it," Rowan said. "What did you tell him?" "Nothing yet," Rowan said. Okoye folded her hands on the desk. "I will not tell you what to do, but I will tell you what I know. Your mother's condition is serious but not immediately critical. The infection has been progressing for weeks. One additional day will not alter the trajectory. The antibiotics will be effective whether administered tomorrow or the day after." She looked at him with the directness he had come to recognize as her default register. "That is a medical assessment, not advice." Rowan stood and left the clinic. He found Pip in the corridor, leaning against the wall, arms folded, one foot propped behind her. "So," Pip said. "Marcus offered me the flight," Rowan said. "I heard." She pushed off the wall and walked beside him toward the stairwell. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to go home," Rowan said. "My mother is waiting. I have what I came for." Pip was quiet for 8 steps. Rowan counted them because the silence was unusual enough to measure. "Your mother sent you down a mountain for medicine," Pip said. You got the medicine. You also got a chance to see something nobody on your mountain will ever see. Nobody alive has seen the full sun, except the people who ride those platforms. And there are maybe 6 of them in the world, and one of them is offering you a seat tomorrow. She stopped walking. Rowan stopped with her. If you go home and tell your mother you had the chance to go above the clouds and turned it down, she will be angrier about that than the extra day. You do not know my mother, Rowan said. I know mothers. Pip's voice was quieter than usual, the chatter stripped down to whatever sat underneath it. Mine would have gone. She would have looked and come back and told me what she saw, because that is what you do when the world gives you a chance to see something nobody else can see. You look at it as hard as you can for as long as you can, and then you come back and you tell someone. They stood in the corridor. The foot traffic of Meridian moved around them, people following the painted lines, carrying tools and food and the daily business of a city that functioned because everyone kept functioning. Rowan tried to picture telling his mother he had stood inside a Helionaut hangar and walked away. He could see her face, and he could hear the exact 2 words she would use. You did what? Not a question, but a flat assessment of his judgment. Delivered in the same register she used for crop failures and storm damage. She would not yell or lecture. She would file the information under things she had not expected of him and would not bring up again. He could not stand that more than he could stand the extra day. And the recognition was finished before he had finished thinking it. What time is the light window? Rowan said. Pip's face broke into a grin. Tomorrow, 1100, give or take. Marcus wants crew on the platform by 10:30. Then I will be on the platform at 10:30. Good. She started walking again, her bounce returning, her fingers finding the strap of her bag. I'm going to be watching from the hangar rail. If you fall off, I want to see it happen. Your concern is moving, Rowan said. I'm a deeply caring person, Pip said. Ask anyone. Rowan spent the evening in the hangar. The wind moved through the open sides of the structure, steady and cool, carrying the faint, damp chill of the cloud layer. Up here, above the city's enclosed corridors and sealed rooms, the air tasted different. Cleaner, thinner, with none of the lamp smoke or cooking oil or compressed human warmth that filled the levels below. The steel beams above him ticked and clicked as they cooled, the metal contracting in the evening air. Below, Meridian hummed with its after-window routine, the sound rising to the hangar as a low and constant murmur. The 3 platforms sat on their rails, tarps removed now, the solar cells and cable systems exposed to the evening air. Helionaut 2, his Helionaut, occupied the center rail. He could see his work from here, the new bearing housing, bright steel against the darkened aluminum of the platform frame. The cable drum seated above it. The retraction spring coiled and ready. The harnesses hung from their attachment points, the worn leather and nylon webbing moving slightly in the wind. His father had died on the solar collector when Rowan was 12. He had fallen while repairing it, and the fall had killed him. The collector had been his father's work, built from salvaged parts and maintained for years before Rowan was old enough to remember him doing it. Tomorrow, Rowan would tether himself to bearings he had filed by lamplight on 6 separate evenings. He had measured the housing 3 times with a handmade caliper. He had filed each surface against the same caliper. His father had measured his own work too, the same kind of measuring against the same kind of tools. There was no version of what Rowan would do tomorrow that his father had not done first. Rowan checked his repair work one final time, running the cable retraction through 2 full cycles, listening to the mechanism with his hands on the housing, feeling for any vibration that did not belong. The bearings were smooth and the housing held. The cable wound and unwound with the consistency of a system operating within its designed parameters. Tomorrow, this mechanism would support the weight of 3 people and a platform at 12 kilometers of altitude. The tolerances he had filed by hand in lamplight would be tested against gravity and wind and the stress of a 90-minute suspension in open sky. He could not test the work the way it would be tested tomorrow. The platform's full load, the wind shear above the cloud layer, the stress of suspension in open sky were conditions he could not reproduce in the hangar. He had done the work as well as he knew how. His father had done the same. The mechanism would hold, and he chose to know it. He chose to know it from his hands, from the sound the metal made when it cycled, from the accumulated understanding of materials that came from years of listening to what they needed. The choosing was the work that was left to him tonight. Marcus found him there an hour after the dim settled. The older man brought 2 cups of broth from the lower-level kitchens and sat on the edge of the platform beside Rowan, their legs hanging over the side, the wind moving past their boots, the hangar open to the dark sky above. From up here, the city's lamplight was visible through gaps in the lower structure, small, warm points scattered across the terraced levels. Each one a room where someone was reading or cooking or talking or sleeping. The market was closed, and the farming terraces were dark, and the light wells had given up their light for the day, and the city below was lit only by lamps and the soft pulse of the cultivated fungi. "You decided," Marcus said. "Pip decided," Rowan said. "I agreed with her reasoning." Marcus handed him a cup. The broth was hot, mushroom-based, with a depth of flavor that suggested someone in the lower levels understood cooking as well as Rowan understood mechanisms. They drank without talking. The silence was the kind that had developed between them across 6 days of shared work. Comfortable, not requiring conversation. "The ascent takes 45 minutes, Marcus said eventually. "We break through the cloud layer at approximately 12 kilometers. Above that, you will see direct sunlight. I cannot describe it adequately. I have tried in my logs and in conversations, and the words have not done the job." Rowan thought about that. "My mother used to say there were things that had to be lived first." She was talking about before. Marcus drank from his cup. "That is part of it." They sat in the dim, drinking broth, the wind threading between the hangar columns, the city quiet below them and the clouds quiet above. The chorus did not come that night. Some nights it did not. Marcus said the patterns were irregular, possibly related to feeding cycles, possibly to migration, possibly to factors they had not identified. Another question among the many the sky did not answer. Marcus finished his broth and set the cup beside him on the platform. He looked at Rowan with the same care he used when handling a precision instrument. "You are afraid," he said. It was not a question. "I am calculating," Rowan said. "What are you calculating?" Rowan looked at his cup. "My father died on the solar collector when I was 12. He had built it himself, and he was maintaining it himself. And one day the work he had done with his own hands gave way under him. I have fitted the bearings on this platform with my own hands. I do not know how many years they will hold. I do not know whether tomorrow is in the years they hold, or the year they fail." Marcus was quiet for a long time. "That is the calculation," he said. "Every flight, it does not become easier. We make the calculation, and we make the flight, and we land, and we make the calculation again the next time. The calculation is not the part you solve. The calculation is the part you carry." Rowan looked at his cup. The broth had cooled, and he drank what was left. "That is well said," Rowan said. "My wife said it first," Marcus said. "She was a surgeon before the Opa King, and she used to say the same thing about surgery." They did not say anything else for a while. Rowan finished his broth and set the cup aside and touched his coat pocket. The foil of the blister packs crinkled faintly under his fingers, the antibiotics warm and dry against his chest. They were his mother's medicine, secured and waiting, and they were the reason he had come. Tomorrow he would go up, and the day after he would go home. When he had left the mountain, this plan would have been enough. It was not enough now. and the reason did not need to be named for him to know it was true. He sat on the platform he had repaired, the wind cooling his face, the steel beams ticking above him, and waited for morning.
Chapter Guild, Stories for Your Mind.